Girls, please, come on. I gave you treats. Girls, shh. Stop. How you doing? Duff here, and behind me is our chicken coop. Those of you that have been with the channel for a while might be familiar with this. Those that have not been with the channel for a while may have no idea that I had a chicken coop. This chicken coop was built 3 years ago, and when I built it, we kind of did a video that outlined some of the features, but I really haven't done anything since, and there's been a lot of changes, fixes, modifications that we've done as a result of some of the things that we ran into. First of all, you may notice that the Christmas lights are still in the coop. Yes, it is almost April, but the chickens have told me that they like the Christmas lights, so I'm leaving them on there. I don't know, they look cool, and I don't know, I'm leaving them on. You also can see that the roof on this shed is white. The roof on this shed is not normally white. It's, well, you can tell it's white, but it's not in very good shape. I painted that white, and that was as a result of discovering that when you leave it its native dark brown in Florida, it becomes an oven. There was so much heat that was getting pulled in through that roof that you could not touch it from the inside. It was boiling hot. So my solution to that has been every year to paint it white. I use I can't remember if it's Krylon but it's a type of paint that's supposed to be designed for plastic. As you can tell, it's not perfect. This hasn't been painted since Hurricane Irma, which stripped a lot of it off, as well as you can imagine. Yeah, I paint the roof white, and it made a dramatic difference with how much heat the roof absorbs. So it's a good tip if you live in a hot climate like we do. Okay, the shed itself, let me turn off my cooling. The shed itself is a lifetime shed. Girls, come on. Every time I'm out here, they expect that I'm going to be giving them a treat, so they're very vocal. Girls, please. Let me give them something to shut them up. They love these freeze-dried mealworms. Okay, so as I was saying, the shed itself is actually a lifetime PVC storage shed. It is a 10 by 12 shed, 10 feet wide by 12 feet long, I believe. And we purchased this at Sam's Club, believe it or not, 3 years ago. And in order to mount the shed, we built this elevated platform out of heavy-duty plywood, and there's a whole video that outlines the process of building this platform. The reason that we wanted to make sure it was elevated was during wet season, this area can become very, very soggy, and there can be some standing water, so we had to make sure that we had the coop up and off the ground. Okay, so with the run is approximately 16 feet long, I believe, if I remember correctly. We have the entire run, including the roof, closed in with welded wire, not welded wire. Why am I drawing a blank with what this wire is called? I'll think of it, or I'll put it in the video description. But anyways, we encased the entire coop with this wire to make it predator proof. Chicken wire, if you see conventional chicken wire, that actually is not very strong at all. So that's why we went with this wire, because it's much more resistant to predators. We have a solid roof there with corrugated PVC panels. This door, this is not the original door. I originally built the door out of just 2x4s and then just put some of this wire in between and like one cross brace. And within a few months, it started to warp badly. It was twisted. It was impossible to get this thing shut. So what I wound up doing was buying a gate kit, which I got this at Home Depot. They sell this. And what it basically does is gives you a solid steel foundation to build your gate upon. And it can't warp because the core of it is steel, and it's worked perfectly. It's been probably coming up in 2 years, and this has not warped at all. It closes fine still, so I highly recommend getting something like this for the door of your run if you have a similar configuration to us. Okay, the run area in here used to be just grass when we built it. Over time, we discovered that sand would make a much better surface. So I probably have 1,000 or 2,000 pounds of sand in here that I've dumped 50-pound bag at a time. and it's better. You can rake it up, you can scoop it, you know, when the chickens make a mess in here. So I just found it's easier for maintenance to use sand in here. You'll see down here I have a number of live traps. We've had some issues over the years with rodents, specifically palm rats, and I've been slowly catching them. You know, I don't like to kill animals, so I've been catching them and relocating them. I've gotten 4 or 5 so far, and I think that we might finally have. There was one more left, and I think that one might have just moved out of town because he took the hint. But they've done a lot of damage in here. One of the pieces of tech I have is, you'll see I have cameras here. I'll show you some other cameras I have outside, and they all lead to the inside of the coop, and they went through this hole right here, and as you can see, all these wires, no, I didn't cut these were all chewed up by palm rats. They wanted to get through this hole here to get inside where there's more food, and that is the way they did it. They chewed through those wires. So after I 3D printed actually this huge bolt and nut on the other side to fill the hole to stop it, and I'm going to have to rerun these wires and try to do it in a way that will not give the palm rats a way to chew on them. Should be a challenge. I also have problems with I have another wire. Well, I'll talk about that later. But there's another wire that runs up underneath the coop that the palm rats had chewed through as well. So yeah, they've been a real hassle. In the center of the run, we have this support here. It doesn't really serve much support. Well, I guess it does. It supports the middle of it. But we have some perches attached to here, and the chickens do hang out here on occasion. Sometimes they'll come up here. I haven't seen one all the way up in the top in a long time, but yeah, they like to hang out here. Chickens usually like to get high. We've had several different watering systems, but we've had this nipple type for quite a while. We've determined that this was really your best option as far as maintenance and cleanliness. It doesn't get dirty because it's sealed, and all you have is those nipples down below, and this is really the best way to keep your water clean and filled because it lasts a long time. We have 2 feeders hanging down here from the roof of the run. This trash can is what we use to put the food in at night. We actually put the food away at night in the can, and a metal trash can we found is impervious to palm rats, so that's why this is here. We've just been trying to remove as much temptation as possible. Okay, this is another thing that I built in the last year or so. This is a little cover for the water that we have out in the yard area. We're kind of late in the day, so it's not really providing shade right now, but during the heat of the day, it actually keeps the water shaded so it doesn't get so boiling hot. It gives the chickens another shady spot to hang out in. And speaking of shady spots, actually one of the other advantages of having the coop up on a raised platform like this is the chickens actually like to go under there and hang out as well. It's nice and cool under there. They feel safe, so it's not unusual to have all 9 of the chickens hanging out under there during the day. Hi, Steffi. Good girl. Yeah, who's the good girl? Huh? Who's the good girl? Good girl. We have this little feeder out here that Cindy made, and it's just we usually put scratch grains in there and some more feed just to give them multiple spots. You know, we like to spread the food and the water out just so there's not contention for it. You know, as always is the case, some chickens are bullies, and giving them multiple options to eat is a good way to let everybody have an opportunity to feed successfully. All right, coming around the back, you'll see some more of our cameras. We have 2 that shoot out towards the backyard, and those were installed after we actually lost a chicken due to a coyote. We actually jumped that fence, came over, snatched the chicken, ran back away, and jumped the fence. And after that happened, I put these 2 cameras in the back here so we would have a better look at what's going on. These clear corrugated panels have been added since the coop was built, and the reason for that was very simple. During the summer when it's rainy, you have wind-blown rain, it was blowing in and soaking the food, and once the food gets wet it's pretty much useless, so we were wasting tons and tons of food. So these clear corrugated panels still leave light in, but keeps the stuff inside relatively dry. So for the first roughly 2 years after we built the coop, this fence, this inner fence here that you see, it did not exist. We only built this around maybe 13-14 months ago, and it was just to keep the chickens more confined. when we allowed them to free range inside the entire backyard, they were very destructive. They would just, dig up beds, dig holes everywhere. They were just making a mess of lots of things. Chicken crap everywhere, as you can imagine. So, doing this, they still have a nice big area to hang out, but it confines what they can do and what they can damage. So, they have free run in here to do whatever they want, but at least it doesn't make a mess of the rest of the ground. So, building that fence was a pain in the ass, let me tell you. Because I built the outside fence as well years and years and years ago, so I knew what I was in for. But still, man, it's ass-breaking work when you're doing it mostly by hand. When we built the fence here, we built this little playground area, we call it. This is just all scrap lumber that I had. Sometimes I'll just come out here and put scratch grains on these little platforms. Chickens like to hang out here, dig around, put these areca palms around, even though they're not growing very well. And I mentioned earlier how wet this can be during the summer wet season. There was times where water, I'm right against the coop right here, this entire area was submerged. And sometimes as deep as 8 inches of water. So I have some pictures of that. I'll post them here. This is our urban chicken tractor. This is the first thing that we ever bought when we first got chickens. We originally got 3 Buff Orpington hens, and they lived in this chicken tractor. And this is kind of nice for someone who has limited space. We also bought this run. We bought this used off of Craigslist. But the thought is you can just move this around every day so the chickens have fresh grass underneath, and with that run attached, they have a decent amount of space to roam. So that's one nice option for someone that is interested in chickens but has limited space. urbanchickentractors.com. Unfortunately, our first 3 chickens happened to be killed while they were in this at night by a raccoon. And the way that happened was this is the only thing that came with the coop as far as latching the side door. And evidently raccoons are smart enough to figure out if they go like this, it'll open up. And one did exactly that, got in the side and killed all 3 chickens. So that was very unfortunate, very sad. And after that, I added these supplementary locks and latches that prevent raccoons from getting in there. Okay, so the name of the video is my high-tech chicken coop, and I really haven't talked about much of the tech yet except for the cameras that are outside. They lead inside, the wires lead inside to my Night Owl 8-camera DVR system. It's a 1080p surveillance system, so I get nice clear images if need be. And of course, in order for that to all work, I need a router. And right here is my Netgear 802.11. It's an AC, I don't remember. It wasn't that expensive. I had to get a new one recently because the palm rats chewed through the power cord of the old one. But anyways, yeah, there it is, mounted on the wall. You'll see there's multiple Ethernet connectors plugged into the router. This one right here is the one that's most important. That is a Berry rated Ethernet cable that actually runs down the coop, down that hole right there. Girls, please, come on. I gave you treats. Girls, shh. Stop. Okay, so that cable comes down here, down. No, don't do that. No. Okay, let's try this again. The cable comes down here and it's buried, goes underground, goes up to the border around the pool, around the side, and at the side of the house, I have the cable going inside the house. I punched a little hole that allows it attic access, and it connects to one of my pieces of Cat 5e wiring that I have inside the house, which in turn connects to my main router. So the coop is literally hardwired to the rest of the network in the house, believe it or not, and it works. It's amazing. Okay, right here you'll see my camera that is on the inside of the coop. Right here you will see my ultrasonic rodent repellent device. And I'll tell you, I was skeptical, but since I put that in here, I haven't had any mice get inside the coop at all, because that was a problem. They were getting inside here and they were just chewing the shit out of all kinds of things. Has not happened since I put this in here. Have a small little clip-on fan that's blowing air over the DVR, keeps things circulated, try to keep things cool. Right here is my automatic chicken. Girl, I'm gonna kick you out. Out, 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 out. Jeez. They just don't understand their chickens. Okay. So anyways, hopefully there's enough light. I think there is. Well, let me turn on some light. One of the things I have out here is I have a Wemo smart switch, which connects via Wi-Fi to my router and controls this light. So this light is set to come on at, I don't remember, 7 or something, and goes off precisely at 8:10. And the Wemo allows me to control that very precisely. And over here, my automatic chicken door. This is another thing that was really handy when I built the coop. I bought this. The whole section comes in one piece. And I had this on another Wemo switch. And what happens is when power is cycled, it sets off a cycle of the motor inside that's is attached to a string, which is in turn attached to the door. So I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to turn it back on. Super cool, huh? So basically, that allows the chickens to at least have access out to the run in the morning. You don't have to get up, first thing to let them out because they'd all be stuck in here. And that's super, super handy. And that again is controlled. It connects via Wi-Fi. Turns on, opens at 6:30 in the morning, closes at like 8:10 at night. So super cool. For cooling in the coop, we have a large airflow fan. Does a good job. Because like I said, even with the white roof, it can get warm in here. Go away! To power the electronics up here, I also have a UPS. In the summertime in Florida, you get a lot of power hits. This will make sure that this switch does not reset, because if it would be setting the switch off all the time, it would be screwing with the door. So I have a small UPS here that does that, and also powers all the electronics to make sure that they stay online for at least a short period of time if there's a power outage. What you see up here, this was added actually as part of my Hurricane Irma preparations to give additional support to these cross members. I just left them up there. They're not really in the way. I guess I could hang stuff from them if I wanted to. Yeah, when I hardened this thing for Hurricane Irma, and I talk about it in the video that I shot regarding Irma, but I fully expected this thing to blow away because it was wind rated to like 75 miles an hour, and we had gusts in our area upwards of 130, and it survived thanks to all kinds of auxiliary stuff I did to hold this thing down, and including 2 ratcheting straps I had crisscrossed across the roof. Yeah, it was a minor miracle that this thing survived. So as you can tell with this Lifetime shed, it is quite nice. There's 2 skylights here that I have covered up. I've had them covered up for quite a long time. Yeah, it would be nice to have the light come in, but it was the heat. It was again contributing to making the inside of the coop much hotter than I was comfortable with, so I've had that covered up for a long time. The shelving is nice on these sheds. We have chicken treats, all kind of stuff here. This was something that was added several months ago, this netting. We were having issues with some of the chickens wanting to, instead of going to perch, they would come over here and hang out in the nesting box at night, and then they would shit all over things. So this is our way to prevent that. After we collect the eggs, we have some eggs in here. After we collect the eggs, we actually pull this down and just hook it to these screws, and it discourages the birds from sitting over there. Some of them will still actually try it, believe it or not, but it's definitely better than it was. So one other camera we have out here. This is a camera that you can actually move and control. It hasn't worked very well in quite a while. I think the environment out here has probably made it tough on it. It also has 2-way audio, again, that you can control from the app, but we don't use it very often. If we want to see what's going on, we just usually watch the DVR camera. All right, the perch. Let's talk about the perch and what we have set up here. When we first set up the coop, what we did is what we read that everybody pretty much does, and we threw down shavings underneath the perch. And what I read was people would kind of pick through the shavings daily maybe, and then change them once a week or something like that. We found that to be tedious and ineffective. It just was kind of gross. I mean, it got, maybe our chickens just, shit more than most, I don't know, but it just got to be really gross and smelly all the time. So what we eventually came up with doing, and this was after various things that we tried, is we have these rubber mats, that you would like normally lay in front of a door. We bought this, you can buy this stuff at Home Depot, and Cindy cut these to kind of fit the perch here underneath. And what we do then is we, in the morning, of course they're covered with all kinds of things, but we just pull them out and we have a hose out here, and we just rinse these things off, throw them over the fence, let them dry, and they're dry in an hour, and put them back in. And they're not perfectly clean, but they are very, very clean, and we found that worked out much, much better. Once they're out of there and cleaned up, the coop no longer smells at all. The perch we keep clean with a solution of vinegar and tea tree oil. Just mix that together. It's like a few drops of tea tree oil to a full bottle of vinegar. That works pretty well. The perch also has gone through some modifications. It used to be about this high, probably 1.5 to 2 feet higher. And we recently, in the last couple of months, actually cut that down in height pretty dramatically. It was spurred on because we lost a chicken. She has something wrong with her, but she fell off the perch during the night, and it looks like, from what we saw in the security camera, that she broke her neck on the way down, the way she fell. So, and plus we had been having problems before that with some of the chickens having issues with getting down in the morning, because they're all about 3 years old now, and maybe they're just not as spry as they used to be. So we just dropped the height of the perch. It's down to, it might be between 1.5 and 2 feet high now. So it's a lot easier for the birds to get off, and I'm less worried about one of them hurting themselves if they would fall. So, because it was Peaches that died, and that was very, very traumatic for us. Okay, outside, as far as additional tech, I forgot to mention that we have a Ring doorbell. Yes, a Ring doorbell. When I put it in, the intention was, like, if I needed something from the house, I could hit this and Cindy would be notified, or vice versa. It also does motion detection, so if there was something going on here, we would know about it. Yeah, of course it's unnecessary, but we have it. We have some solar lights here. There's a solar light inside the run that I forgot to mention, that I installed right there. That keeps the run area lit up at night. We also have these are actually solar patio lights that we got at Costco. We have these on the front fence posts just to provide additional lighting at night when we come out here to put them to bed. We also added some additional landscaping, although it looks pretty ratty and shitty right now. Since the coop was built, we put these big heavy white rocks here, again to prevent diggers. Even though the wire goes beneath the ground several inches, this is just another preventative measure that we put in place to prevent, or to deter animals from digging. They still might try. The American flag was added as well. Several of them, because they wear out. Oh, I also forgot to mention how I got power to the coop in the first place. Power is provided from a buried line that connects to, I have power to that shed. There's a heavy gauge extension cord that I have buried here that goes up the back, goes into the coop in the back corner and up, and that's how I power the coop. And I am thinking about doing some sort of solar setup possibly. That would be pretty cool. Alright, so that's it. That's the tour of our updated high-tech chicken coop. Hopefully you found it interesting. I know it went a little bit long. I'll try to edit it as best as I can. But we have learned a lot over the years when it comes to tending for chickens, what works, what doesn't work, and right now we have ourselves in a pretty sweet spot, I think. Cleanup is not awful, chickens are happy, and yeah, it's been a fun experience. Raising chickens has been a lot more interesting and engaging than I expected it to be, for sure. They all have names. They're our pets. Even if they didn't lay another egg and the rest of their lives, they'd still be our pets, and that's just the way we look at them. So that's it for now. If you found this video interesting, please give it a big thumbs up. If this is your first time visiting the channel, please consider subscribing. Feel free to leave a comment below. And that's all I got for you for now. Until next time, Duffman out.